Okay, well, I don't know what just happened, but I just lost the whole beginning of this. So let's try and recover what we can here and start at the beginning. So what we got in was an HMI for an industrial machine. You can see it's got soft keys on the outside and a touchscreen display on the inside. So what we know about it is it didn't come on or didn't display, something like that. We have no wiring diagrams. We didn't know how to hook this up and don't really know what to expect. Sometimes these HMIs have the main computer on it. Sometimes they're remote. I have a feeling this one's remote because they were able to take a new one in stock off the shelf and put it in and the machine worked. So they didn't have to update or install anything. So this may be the generic part of it per se. So what I needed to do was figure out how to power it up. What we knew was it was 24 volts. So I opened up the back. It's a pretty hefty aluminum case, heavy duty. And I know I have one plug right here, input output. We don't know what went to what. Let me disconnect this for a minute. So what I do with something like that, the first time I opened it up, the first thing I noticed was this larger wire, this orange and black. Goes over here, it's just 2 leads, comes into this board here. And so my suspicion is that the power is coming through here. That's what we need to look for. We don't know if we power it up, if it's going to work, if we're going to see anything. We don't know. We're going to find out. So the first thing I did was I took this here. I go on beep mode. And I usually start with the blacks or the negatives, see where that gets me. So if I went to the black here and I started poking around in the sockets. Oh, see, I didn't even know. We've got another black here, another black here. Oh, there's a bunch of blacks. Well, okay, so they're using a bunch of blacks to this whole half a circle here. Huh? So I didn't even find that out before. So I had a black. This is working for us right now. I see we've got some more blacks. That explains a lot of these connectors. So then I'm going to go to this orange down here, and I started doing the same thing, probing around. You remember we've got no pin out for this, no wiring diagram. So even when you can see I've got this red one hooked up here, so I know this is the red. However, it's not beeping out for us. So then I started poking around the board, and what I found was under here is a MOSFET. And this leg is nothing. Am I not on the orange there? Okay. I got the wrong one. All right, so that is going to the MOSFET, and that's what's going to the orange. So what I did next was I took each one of these guys, each one of these legs, and just started probing around. And that's what led me to this red one right here. Was touching one of the legs of the MOSFET. So I was able to kind of figure out where the 24 is supposed to go in. Are you following me? Did I miss something? So I was able to get to this. I was able to put power into it. So let's turn on the power supply. And we're really jumping around. Why are we jumping around like that? That's kind of new. I've been noticing a lot of bad connections. Do we have a backlight? Oh, see, now we're pulling half an amp. Okay, so we're pulling half an amp. So when I first powered this up, I was getting about, I would get 400, then it would drop to 250 and sit there. And what I noticed was when I would pick this up, and you can see I've got a green light on here and a green light on here. So I'm just trying to figure out what I've got and what's working. I got a red light here. We're powering up. Let's turn this off for a second. So I did turn it over. I wanted to see what the face was going to do. That 1.29, I don't know where that current draw is coming from. That wasn't doing that. We're not on anything here. That's interesting. Oh no, hold on, it's not. I'm being stupid. So it's a half a amp. And it drops out, but now it stays kind of constant on the half a amp. Okay, so let's go back to this. So the first time I powered it up, I noticed all the LEDs lit up, and they go out. We got nothing on the screen, and I got 0.142 amp. Now watch, I bet you, see I was getting this before, that's where I left off. I'm seeing a lot of bad connections. Seeing this light's blinking. Okay, we're not shorting nothing out here, so. And we're out again. This green light went out. Now it's back on. See, this is where I left off, was I was getting all these bad connections. So I think a lot of this is going to be taken out and reseated, maybe deoxed. I'm going to look at a lot of these. But that's where I went to next. I was getting this current draw, and I would turn it off and disconnect the backlight, turn it on. You can see we get the same current draw. So I just started working through all of these different connectors, disconnecting them and putting them back on. And that's what led me to playing around back here. I noticed when I disconnected this whole board, the current draw stayed stable. So we still had no backlight. That was the other thing I noticed. Those LEDs come on, we can get it. We know there's some loose connections, bad connections. We still weren't getting a backlight. And I don't know if it needs to be turned on from the computer for the backlight to go on or not. So that's kind of what I was looking at, was I was checking. So if we look at these wires here, they go around to this guy. Well, you can't see it here. Let's get you a better view. This thing's big. So here's the power supply going to our backlight. Got no room. So we're still in ohms. Let's go to volts. So if I probe these and I go here and here, I got nothing. If I go here, I got 5 volts. 5 volts to this one. Same with this one. These are probably maybe a common. That LED's blinking again. Did you see that? 5 volts. 12 volts. 12 volts. So that's about right. A 5 and 2 12s. So let's go over to our inverter board and make sure we've got it there. So if we get a better look, let's go to the scope and see if that gives us a better look at this inverter board connector. If I can find it. Oh, look at that, not even close. Okay, so we can see we've got a fuse here. I know I checked the fuse, but we'll check it again. So I see that this goes to these first 2 pins. Then we've got these 2 pins going up to what looks like the control circuit. And then I've got these 2. So I'm going to say that this fuse, and here you can see I've already tested this. So there's our 12 volts. We go through there, we're getting 12 volts. You see our voltage is jumping up and down, and we're not even doing much. The current, see how the current's jumping up and down? See, it just came back, this backboard. I'm pushing on it. All right, let's get back to this guy. So you can see we're getting voltage to this inverter board. Well, you can't see it, but I can see it. So I'm getting 12 volts right there across these 2. I wonder if this was this ground to these 2 5-volt lines. Yeah, so that's a 5 volt. That's a 5 volt. Okay, so we're getting power to the inverter board. If anything, we could throw a high voltage test on it and see what that gives us. But I need to check this inverter board. Now, this guy gave me some spares. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to go crack open one of these spares. I'm going to look and see if it's got one of these boards in it. If it does, I'm going to pull it out. We're going to come back and we're going to try it in here. Okay, look at this. Same thing. All right, our power's off. Do we need to take this board out? I don't even think we need to take it out. Now, this shouldn't have any high voltage on it. We'll be safe anyway. Okay, you can see there's nothing on the back except the ground plane, so. Let's see if this even turns on or changes our current. Everything's secure, good. Let's turn it on. Why is that blinking like that? Hey, but you know what? We weren't even getting the backlight before. You see how our current's at 0.2? We're all the way failing the screen light. We're sitting at 800 milliamps now, and our backlight is on. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Let's turn it off again. Let me look. Oh yeah, you can see it clearly light up. All right, so that's the thing is our inverter board was bad. Let's flip it over and see what we've got. And there's our backlight. Well, that doesn't look good. What is that all about? What was that? So something changed with that screen. Oh, look at that. But why is it all stripy like that? What is going on there? So they really just said, so we kind of know that the inverter board is bad. I'm just playing around with this ribbon here. I want to see if we're getting a bad connection here. Got all this too. See if we can wiggle something into place. That's probably the touch screen right there. What is this? This is just a card reader. Let's see where we're at here. See what our screen looks like. Oh, I think we lost something here. I think I knocked something loose. That's interesting. What's going on there? This is very tricky. This is where one of those stands with a mirror on it, like the TV guys got, would work out great. So I don't know what. Wouldn't expect the display and the inverter board to both go out. I would expect one or the other. But maybe this was the problem. Still, we weren't getting. So. Okay. I think a lot of this. Unless there's something that's we rebooted again. Interesting. I think what I'm going to do now is, I think we're pretty confirmed that the inverter board was bad. And I don't know if something happened with this display, with me disconnecting all these cords. But as I said, I did see a lot of bad connection back there. I had to really, that's what I was playing with, was pushing down on all that when the footage stopped. And I had all these connectors in and out. Some of them are really tricky. So we're still a stripy screen. And something's still flaking out back here. I wouldn't think, but I wonder if all those grounds need to be connected. I would think it wouldn't. They're there for a reason, but we're not putting it to any work. That's the other thing I noticed is, okay, I think I'm going to take all this out and take all this out and work all these connections, and we might be able to look at the spare that he gave me and see if the screens are the same. So if we could, we might pull the screen. If we don't see any change, we're going to maybe just plug it all in and see what happens with the other screen. All right, you know what? I went and pulled the screen out of another one, out of the donor. Let's hook it up and see what we got. Power's off. These are identical, actually. So power's off. Let's hook up our inverter. This is actually the inverter that came out of it, so. Okay. Let's get this guy out here. I've had that out before, so. Nothing else has been done, so we still could have some loose connections. I'm going to leave this out. I don't even need that there. See what happens when we hit the power. Oh, we got the same thing. Look at that. So there's no communication. Right now we've got nothing. So it doesn't know what to display. That's funny, it just shut off and dropped down to 200 milliamps. So it's trying to reboot. It's trying to talk to the computer. So I'm not quite sure here. It just shut off again. So I don't know if we've got loose connections or what. Now we're bouncing. See, it was back here that was giving me trouble before. See, we're still at 200 milliamps. See, this one's acting. This one's acting. Okay, so I think we're going to have to go back to the original plan and a nice current drop. Nice number. I'm going to strip all these boards out and redress them. We're going to come back and see where we